y'all doing this morning? I'm gonna try to preach quick, so y'all listen quick. This morning I realized something. I was at the house. First off, I didn't have any hot water this morning. And that's never a good thing. But didn't have any hot water, so I decided I was going to take what Brittany said was the quickest shower she's ever known me to take. But I wanted to tell you this because I worry about some of your health. Okay? Every morning I have a habit. I get up and I weigh myself. And Brittany always tells me, "Oh, you shouldn't weigh yourself every morning. You get discouraged weighing yourself every morning." Well, this morning was a little bit different because last night we've been dieting for quite a while now. But last night I went out to the mariachis and I had I call it Arizona chicken. It's chicken, rice, and queso dip, all of it mixed together. It's the most fattening thing I think they got on the menu. So we ate that, we broke our diet, then we decided we were going to go all the way up to Waxhaw Creamery. If you've never been to Waxhaw Creamery, you're really missing out. They have some of the best ice cream around. And I had a cone of chocolate ice cream, looks like it wouldn't fit in the offering plate. Best thing with me. I was satisfied and I was mad at myself. You may have been on a diet and been mad at yourself for cheating on it. It was good, but man, I wish I would have done that. Well, this morning I got up and typical Sunday morning with one difference. Brittany had her phone in the bathroom, and she was playing not on the phone. She was listening to music while she was getting ready. It was a bunch of worship music and getting ready for the day to start. And I was dreading coming down and getting on that stage. She said, "I'll do it, but I'll do it." Well, I walk over there, I get on the scale. And lo and behold, the lightest I've been in over a year. And I know I just cheated on the diet. And there's only one explanation. That's what I'm telling you, is for your health. That praise music, it was literally lifting me up. It was lifting me up off of that scale. And I weighed less than I've ever weighed. That's a true story. I mean, as soon as it happened, I told Brittany, I said, "God made the music because it's lifting me up." But, it started off the day on the right foot. When Brittany gets on the scale, I stand behind her and I put my big toe on it. She gets mad. That's a good way to start a fight in marriage. But if you got your Bible, and I hope you do, the message today is coming from the book of Matthew, chapter 22. Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. If you stand for the reading of the Word of God. And Jesus answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, "The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage. But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the ruler took his servants and entreated them spitefully, and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth. He sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their cities. Then saith he to the servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore to the highways, and as many as ye find, bid them to the marriage. So the servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guest, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he saith unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. And he said, and then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. Father God, Lord, We ask you to be with the service today, Lord, and speak to them through your text, Lord. Lord, I ask you, there's hearts in here that are angry, Lord. I ask that you'll heal angry hearts, Lord. Hearts that are broken, I ask that you'll heal them, Lord. Lord, there's anybody in here that doesn't know you, Lord. I pray that today will be their day of salvation. God, your text, it plainly speaks to the church, Lord. It plainly speaks to us. I pray that we'll listen to what you had to say, Lord. Lord, I pray that we won't be like the example here, Lord. I pray that we'll seek after you. Lord, I ask that you'll hide me behind the cross, Lord. Give me the boldness and the wisdom to say the things that you had me say, Lord, and strike from my memory the things that you had me not. Lord, we do it all for your glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so if you're taking notes, these 14 verses, they can be broken down into 3 little subcategories. The first subcategory is going to be the illustration of the wedding, and that's going to be in verses 1 and 2. The next part will have an invitation to the wedding, verses 3 through 10. And then it'll wrap up with the indignation at the wedding. Indignation. Excuse me. It's a big word. It might be hot. And that'll be in verses 11 through 14. So, to start off with, we're with the illustration of the wedding. And the way the text reads, it says, "And Jesus answered and spake unto them." So, we know Jesus is talking to somebody, but we've got to figure out who is he talking to. And we can establish who he's talking to. We're in we're in chapter 22 now. But to establish who the them is, you have to roll back to chapter 21 to really figure it out, to really get a good context of who's being spoken to. Now, the scenario, let me lay it out for you. They're inside of the temple in Jerusalem. It covers that back in chapter 21. They're inside the temple, and the crowd that's present are the religious leaders. You've got the Jewish people that are there at the temple. You've got the chief priests, and you've got the Pharisees. These are the people that are in the them that's being spoken to. Now, we go on a little bit, and Jesus he speaks to them in a parable, and when he does that for their convenience. And why Jesus speaks in a parable is the things of heaven. They're pretty difficult for us with our finite minds to understand. So Jesus, in his almighty and all-knowing way, puts it together in something that we'll really be able to understand, we'll be able to grasp, we'll be able to take hold of, and we'll be able to apply it to our lives. So, first off, when Jesus was talking to this crowd, he knew his audience very, very well. He knew that they were the religious leaders. He knew they were the Jewish people. He knew they were the chief priests. He knew they were the Pharisees. He knew them very well. And when you're evangelizing, when you go out and you leave this place and you evangelize the Word of God, one thing that will really help you out is if you know your audience. You know that audience that you're giving that message to, and you find a way to relate it to them in a way that they'll understand you better. For example, I'm not going to talk to a child about a marriage problem when a child has no idea about a marriage unless he's looking at the marriage of his mom and dad. I don't want the child to think that all marriages have problems, because we all know that everybody's marriage is perfect, right? No? Y'all don't say amen all at one time now. I'd love to meet the perfect marriage and just pick the brain for just a little bit. It's I find it, and whenever I see people that have been married for a long time, I like to ask them, I say, well, what kind of advice can you give a young man? There's always some wisdom there. But you've got to know your audience when you're evangelizing. And Jesus, he references, he likens the kingdom of heaven to a marriage. And there's a reason that he likens it to a marriage, because a marriage is one of the backbone doctrines that we get inside of the Bible. It's given to us as an example of how God looks at his people. And marriage it's not just some vows that people say. Marriage is a covenant that people enter into. Marriage is a bond that's till death do us part, or until I find a better situation, depending on where you're at in the world. But I want to preach on a little bit today about what exactly the marriage covenant looks like, and then we're going to get into the rest of the text here. So the reason he's using the marriage as an example is because throughout the Bible, marriages, they're used, and when we look at what the covenant actually is, so how a covenant works, and you can find this back in Genesis chapter 15 with Abraham. You will have two parties enter into an agreement together. One party, they're coming in over here, they're saying, you know what? I'm going to abide with this person. This person says, I will abide with this person. But how God enters us into a covenant, how he gives the example with Abraham, is he would slay animals. He would rip them apart. And the blood and guts of the animals would be on this side, the blood and guts would be on this side. In the middle there'd be a path, entrails. You would have all the intestines, and there'd be just nastiness. This is biblical. It's not just meant to be gross. This is biblically how a covenant works. And the two parties that would enter into this covenant, they would say, okay, I'm going to enter into a covenant with you. And what that means is I'm going to walk through this blood and guts, this nastiness, all these entrails. I'm going to walk through it, and I'm going to show reverence to what's happened here. Something had to die for me to enter into this covenant. I'm going to show reverence to it. I'm going to walk through this. And if I break my covenant with you, then I expect what happened to this animal to happen to me. Now, I wish that we as human beings were capable of keeping a covenant to that degree. But, you know, we were flawed, we failed, and we can't really do that. We can't keep a covenant like that, not the way God can keep a covenant. When God made his covenant with Abraham, God came down and he would not allow Abraham to walk through this blood and guts. He laid it there, and God came as a light, and God went through it, not allowing Abraham to go through it, because God knew that Abraham, as a man, would not be able to keep that covenant the way that a perfect and holy God could. So when God makes this covenant for us, this covenant is eternal, and when God makes that covenant, it's until he dies. And there's no fear of God dying, so we know that we have an eternal covenant with God. And that's something, when we look at this, if we would treat our marriages the same way that God looks at it, the same standard that God gives to it, then it would be much harder for people to walk away from. So, to give you an idea, this is actually how the marriage ceremony got set up too. If you think about it, when you're fixing to go to a wedding, 28 days, counting, I'm keeping up with it. So, 28 days from now, Megan and Brian, they're going to have their wedding. Lord willing, it's not here, it doesn't rain, right? So, they're going to have their wedding, and they're going to walk down the aisle. What will happen first? Brian will come up here, or wherever the wedding is at. It's on the invitation. Brian will come up here, and he'll stand, and he'll walk down that aisle. Now, what's happening on one side of the aisle? You'll have Brian's family. On the other side, you'll have Megan's family. You'll have blood relatives on both sides. So the Holy Spirit put it together for even us today to understand this scripture by letting us even mirror our weddings after how a covenant is actually put together. So Brian will walk down. He'll walk up here to a pastor that will represent God in this scenario. He'll walk down here, and then Megan, she'll come down, and she'll walk through the blood. Now, during these biblical covenants, you walk through and you say, well, if I fail you, I'm going to look just like what I'm walking through. It's going to make some of you mad, but if you're walking through there, some people walking through are going to dread, I'm not saying that you will, there's some people going to dread ending up like their family that they're walking through, because there are a lot of them going to be broken. And God, he speaks to us. He speaks to us that way, and he lets us see examples of what things should look like. When we look at the very essence of a marriage covenant, you don't want to end up like those that were torn apart. That's the big idea. And we're speaking here to the Jews. They understand this marriage covenant. And to take it a little bit further, the Jewish people, not only did they understand about the covenant, about the ripping apart of animals, not only did they understand that, but they also understood what it meant to be prepared for this wedding. A typical Jewish engagement will last for about 7 years. That was, we look at that and we're like, wow, he should have married her a long time ago. But typically, it's 7 years. They would wait until the bridegroom was ready to pay the dowry for the bride. Jesus is speaking to all these religious leaders in this way. He is letting them know that the bridegroom is ready. But the people that are on the guest list are not ready to enter into this marriage ceremony. Now, we're going into verse 3, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. So God sent, or the king in this situation, sends forth his servants in the form of prophets. He sends forth the prophets to give the message that a Savior would come. But the king here, he sends forth the servants and tells them there's going to be this wedding. You don't want to not be there. You want to make sure that you're present. It's going to be a glorious ceremony. It's the end all, be all. And he sends it to them that are bidden. Specifically, we're talking about the Israelite people. The Israelites, they've been long invited this way. They've known for so long. They've seen God work in so many ways, from saving them when they would have starved to death in Egypt, to getting them out of Egypt by way of parting the Red Sea. They've seen the prophets. They've heard the words of the prophets that spoken about this God that would come. They saw things come to pass the prophets said would come to pass. And yet they still would not come. Israel rejected the prophets, and they also rejected the Messiah. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage. So he sends forth these other servants. Now he's sending the apostles out. And Jesus, he's talking about things that are fixing to happen. But they haven't put this together yet. He's sent the apostles out. And now the oxen are ready, the fatlings are ready, the food is ready, the wedding ceremony is ready. There's a sense of urgency now. Everything's prepared. We're waiting on our guests to get here. Everything is, we're abundantly prepared. But yet they did not come. They didn't come. Everything's just sitting there waiting on. The gifts already been given. But where was their sense of urgency? But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. It wasn't a big deal to these people. It wasn't a big deal to the Jewish people. They ignored the message from the prophets. They ignored the message of the apostles. They heard the gospel when they went their own way into the world. And this is a picture of American Christianity doing what American Christianity does best. Preachers stand on the corners of America and they preach the gospel. Preachers around the country are preaching to empty congregations, preaching the gospel. And people are going out and doing their own thing. They're going out and they don't need that gospel message, or they treat it like it's just a recharge. They treat it like it's something I'm going to come and get on Sunday morning, but I'm going to live like hell the rest of the week. Or sometimes they don't come at all on Sunday mornings. Sometimes they make every excuse. Sometimes the excuse is I'm hungover from Saturday night. Sometimes the excuse is, well, we're going to go to this ball game or that ball game, or we're going to go to We're going to do anything and everything we can to not be in the house of God. But we really want to be in the house of God. It's really a priority to us to be there. But where are our priorities in America as far as the Christian nation is concerned? Where are our priorities at? Are they to worship our Savior, to really truly seek the face of Jesus? Or are they to go after our own way, to go after our own form, to go after our own merchandise? You can look around at empty seats. One, we can say people are going to seek their own way, or we can say that we haven't done the part that we were called to do in evangelizing that message, in evangelizing the church, evangelizing, doing our part, handing out those invitations. And the remnant took his servants and treated them spitefully and slew them. The remnant speaks of those people that did not want the gospel. Oh, preacher, don't you preach on me missing service for this or that. Don't you preach on that. You're gonna step on my toes, preacher. Well, I hope you brought boots. Oh, preacher, you can't call me out for this or for that. Oh, I hope you brought your boots. So they did not want the gospel. There's people, believe it or not, there's people in the church. They'll put on the biggest front for you. They'll be the most giddy Christian you ever want to be around. They'll come make you sick. And then they'll leave here. They'll bash your church. They'll run your church to the ground. They'll make a mockery of your preacher. And then they'll sit there and they'll stare at you. And you got to watch out. You got to really be careful. Please, if you get up in service, walk this way. Because if you walk in between me and some of the faces in here, if looks could kill, you'll fall over dead. I promise you that you will fall over dead if looks are getting ready to kill. I can stand up here and I can preach the gospel, I can scream the gospel, I can do whatever I want. I can read straight out of the Word of God. And there's some people that are going to say, that preacher, he's just mean. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We can't help that the ball game is on Sunday. We can't help that we didn't quit drinking on Saturday. I can't help that you've heard the gospel and don't want to part of it. It's not my job to make you want the gospel. It's my job to tell you the gospel. You do with it what you do with it. But I'm begging you. You've got that invitation to that wedding. I'm begging you to RSVP to that thing. Now, the early days of the church, they were glorious. Now, we're talking about some persecution that happened. And if you don't believe that Christians are persecuted today, I got another thing for you here. Christians are persecuted all the time. But you know what? Who likes to really persecute a Christian? Another Christian. That's who likes to really just drive the nails into your hands. That's who likes to do it. Another Christian likes to do it. They like to get up there and, well, you didn't do that right. You didn't say that word right. Shame on you. You didn't do it right. I wouldn't have said it. You know there's people in the church that do that, don't you? Well, by God, I do. Do I? Nothing. Most importantly, not only do I, but God knows. God knows. You don't need a Facebook account. You don't need an Instagram account to see what's going on. God knows. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth. Oh, he mad now. That's right, lady. He's mad now. And he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Right now, Jesus is talking. He's talking prophetically to them of what was going to happen in 70 AD when Titus would come in and destroy Jerusalem. He's talking prophetically. But if we look at it and look and see how can we apply this to our lives, I'm here to tell you right now, sometimes there's going to be divisions in a church. Sometimes those divisions are warranted by God to clean that church up. Some of you don't like how I'm preaching right now, but that's fine, because I'm not preaching to you right now. I'm preaching what saith the Lord. And right now, I'm here to tell you that if Jesus were up here right now, he could run off a crowd quicker than anybody. Jesus was preaching to 12. And even they had divisions. But the king, therefore, when the king heard thereof, he was wroth. And he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Proverbs 13:24 says, He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chastiseth him betimes. That means that if you know if God really loves you, because from time to time, He's going to have to blister that bottom for you. He's going to have to take that shoe off and bend you over that knee and really wear you out from time to time. Maybe He does it by way of a preacher that you can't stand. For some of you that actually like me, we can find you one that you can't stand. It doesn't take long. But God He didn't destroy Jerusalem because He hated them. And He won't come into a church and rip a church up because He hates it. He does it for the benefit of everyone. Everyone, even those that would cause strife, He does it for the benefit of them. It's got to happen. It's inside God's will for that to happen. He comes in, because God never was done with Israel. Churches split up daily. Every Sunday, you can just look at it. I've got preacher friends around the country, and they're always posting on Facebook about how this church and the community just split up. Where we've recently picked up members from other churches that are splitting up. Churches split up daily, but it's for a rebuilding purpose. Sometimes they close the door permanently, and sometimes in that particular situation it's a good thing. I can think of a few. Then saith he to the servants, The wedding is ready, but they which are bidden were not worthy. So even though He's going to send in these armies going to send them to destroy the place, it doesn't change the plans. I guarantee, no matter what, you're going to get married in 28 days. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. It doesn't matter if it rains. It doesn't matter if you don't show up. I guarantee that wedding takes place. And the Lord forbid that it doesn't. The wedding is still taking place right here. The only thing is the guest list. So previously we've got just the Israelite nation that's invited, but the plan the entire time, the plan of God was to get the Gentiles on board as well. But God went around another way because people interfered. The religious crowd interfered. These are people. This wasn't just your Sunday Christians that's there once a month to keep their name on the roster so they can still vote in the business meeting. This is everybody. This is your Sunday night crowd, your Wednesday night crowd. This is everybody. The enemy can't stop God's plan. The wedding's still going to take place. The guest list has changed, but Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. Last Sunday, I taught on a doctrine, a false doctrine. There's another one of these verses that if we look at it, will refute that false doctrine of Calvinism. He said, and as many as ye shall find. Go therefore to the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid them to the marriage. This is a world evangelism call. Some of us can't get out of 29720. Those of you that don't know, that's the zip code around here. Some of us can't get off of Garnet Road. This is your presence, for some of you, the most evangelism that God's ever going to get out of it. Megan had a fit if the mail didn't deliver those messages, those invitations. But she probably had to give them to you for you to go hand deliver them at that point. The mail wouldn't run. I guarantee that invitation's still going to get out. We might have changed the way it gets out, but right here, now, you are given the responsibility of going out and handing that message. It says, go ye therefore to the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid them to the marriage. Go tell the Gentiles, go tell the world, go tell Lancaster, go tell Charlotte, and bid them to come. Just look around your community right now. Look around the church at the empty seats that are in your church right now. Look around here, and I want you to close your eyes for a second. And just imagine the other churches around that are preaching the same gospel message in the pulpit, but are having rapid growth. And it's from evangelism. The preacher can preach as good as he wants. He can step on as many toes as he wants. It doesn't matter. What we fail to do is we fail to go out and give out those invitations to that wedding. We're doing it to ourselves. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as... I can't believe they expect me to give the gospel to a dope head. Believe it. I know a lot of dope heads do a lot more inviting people to church and evangelizing and spreading the word of God than I do church members. I can't say that. Well, that's what you continue to do. You don't pay me to lie to you. You don't pay me to sugarcoat. Oh, man, if I got paid to sugarcoat things, I'd be a politician. I shouldn't have to go share the gospel with him. We pay the preacher for it. So those servants went out to the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. Let's touch on good for a second. Good people still need to be saved. There's plenty of good people holding down church pews. There's plenty of good people that volunteer in the church. There's plenty of good people that volunteer in choirs. There's plenty of good people standing behind pulpits that have never responded to the gospel. There's plenty of good people at your school, young people. There's plenty of good people that are on a waiting list to die in nursing homes. And no one spreading the gospel. You've got ones and twos go in. And in fact, when someone, the hard part with nursing homes is for a second, when someone does go to the nursing home, it's a big deal. Guess what? They tell people about it. They get excited about the fact that they're there. And you know why they get excited? Because they know that that one place of all places should be absolutely filled with people sharing the gospel. Because you're talking to people that are in their last days. But we can't even get places in their last days filled with people sharing the gospel. So when you have the ones and twos, I really want to lift those people up because you're out there, you're fighting the good fight. I saw this week. I don't know how many of you saw it or not. Everybody knows, a lot of you know Kevin Williams, Pastor Jeff Williams' brother. He's spoke here at Chainbreakers. He's a little bit bigger than me. That's hard to find. But they went out into Charlotte this weekend to spread the gospel. While they're out there, 200 people arguing, fighting, homeless people. People in fistfights, guns were out. They were out there with the gospel message. They didn't let that little bit of fear deter them from going out. And I'm here to tell you, if a real believer, if a real Christian can go out and put themselves on the line like that, why can't the rest of us knock on a door, go to a nursing home, tell somebody about Jesus? What kind of persecution are you really expecting? Are you expecting to be like it was in biblical times when somebody was getting beheaded? Do you realize you're in the best country that there's ever been, where you're protected from things like that? You don't have to worry about someone trying to kill you. The worst you have to worry about is standing up in the pulpit and somebody giving you an ugly look. The last thing they probably look at it that way either, because they don't like what I'm saying or I'm hard to look at. What is it? And where will there be real change at? The preacher preaches the message, and guess what? Nothing happens. Not a thing happens. What's today? Today? Well, obviously it's Sunday. What's the date of the Saturday coming up?
Third.
September 1st.
Saturday's the 1st. Right now, Saturday coming up. South Carolina, they'll be playing Coastal Carolina on Saturday. I'd love to go to that game. I absolutely love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. But I'll make a deal with anybody in this church right now that if you'll meet me here, it's Saturday, during that game, when people are going to be home watching it, I'll go out and we'll knock on doors together. How many people, I'll be here Saturday, how many people right now are willing to say, you know what? I'm going to watch that game, but I'm going to knock on doors, because that game, once it's over, that's it. Or maybe we could plant a seed of someone to come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Or maybe we can. But we won't if we don't. I'll be here Saturday during kickoff. Instead of watching my Gamecocks play that I'll get to see, I'll be right here ready to go. And I'm waiting on you to come with me and help with that. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw a man which had not on a wedding garment. So let me touch on this for a second. First off, when you go to a wedding, it's kind of customary. People weddings, they give out bags of rice, chunks of bags of rice that kills birds. Now they give out bird seeds. What do you do? Bird seeds, bubbles, sparklers. Ooh, don't wear a whole lot of hairspray. I seen so much of that. So there's typically something that we get. This is where we model this from. There's typically something that's given out to the guests. Back in this particular time period, there was a garment, and I'm not 100% on what this garment looked like, but I can't shake the fact that I believe it was some type of shawl, kind of like what you got here, some kind of shawl to cover up your clothes. So what the idea is, the king, especially in a royal wedding, and there's no greater royal wedding than the one that's going to take place in heaven, the king would get a particular garment to cover up whatever you have on, even if it's your best. If you wore your best, the king would still give you his garment. Because what the king has is definitely going to be better. So in this situation, feeling this was a man that could have been a deacon. He was a high dignitary because he thought what he had on was good enough to go before the king at the king's wedding. But what he didn't have on was the garment that the king provided. He did not have on the blood of Jesus Christ. So he says to him, he says, friend. And this isn't a friend in a polite way. Have you ever looked at somebody that was just giving you a hard time? Buddy, let me tell you one thing. This is exactly what the situation is. He says, friend, how camest thou hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Last week's memory verse, Romans 1:28, it says, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, but being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. And this guest at this wedding, no matter how good he was without excuse for not having on the garment that the king had provided. And some of you right now are naked as jaybirds. You don't have on the garment that the king has provided. But, you think you're getting into that wedding? Right? You can be as good as you want to be. If you don't have on that garment, if you're not covered by the blood, you're not getting into that wedding. And you can be as bad as the devil himself, and you're not excluded. He's sitting there. He's waiting. He's waiting at the door of that wedding to hand that garment out to you. All you have to do is put it on the door. That's it. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot and take him away and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. He thought he was okay. He thought he would make it. And they grabbed him up by the nape of the head. And they throw him to the devil's head. Keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that you're good enough. I'm going to put a party together. We're going to come here and vote that preacher out. Oh, maybe there was somebody that carried behind. Can we really respect the gospel? Are we really wearing the king's garment? Or are we just good enough? We just get by with the skin of our teeth. Our righteousness is filthy rags. So if you go into the wedding, you're wearing a filthy rag. You're going to be wearing the blood of Jesus Christ. We play my music today. I need you to come on up and play some music. Some of you are out there, some of you are bad, some of you might not come very next week. Some of you that'll be typical. That hurt you, like good. But when you stand before God, you're going to stand without excuse. You can hate the preacher as much as you want. You want to do as much as you want. That preacher doesn't have diddly squat to do with whether you're wearing that garment or not. As the music plays, you do what the Lord let me do. If you need to get anything right with God, now's the time to come get it right with God. If you need, whatever it is that you have, if you need to leave it on the altar, if maybe you forgot that where that wedding garment was, you need to wrap up in it one time. As the music plays, you do what the Lord will have you do. Everybody,